Okay, so now for for today's video, we're going to look for today's recording. We're going to look back into your profile, and actually the completion of your profile page, and the application now actually is basically no longer depend on XAMPP localhost, and this is basically run through my web hosting, and this is totally a totally live application, and access to a web host, database, and also backend. All right, so as you can see down here, there's no XAMPP or whatsoever, and all this data, whatever that you see here, basically comes from the database, online database. All right, so but before we go there, before we go to the web hosting, I'm going to talk a little bit about the profile page, because actually there's um, quite a lot of script that or codes that already update here. One thing is that I'm going to start with your profile image up here. The profile image, this image here basically um, allow user to it basically allow user to change their profile image. So how they can change their profile image? User can just click on this image, and then they can select the image either from camera or from gallery. Like for example, if I want to take or I want to change my profile image from gallery, so this is basically just the same implementation with new products. So let's say I'm going to take my picture here, and then what you have is just a normal cropper, just a standard cropper, and then take the image, and then you can see that now the image finally suddenly appear up here and updated. All right, so I have a few problems before this with this image, because the way that what do you call it? If you look through your profile screen here, and as you can see, the line of code for this profile screen is almost beyond like 800 line of code, 813 line of code. It's quite a lot, but it is basically a repetitive codes. All right, so let's start with the update image. So the update image dialog here is basically based on the from the new product screen, but with what do you call it? The disable check. The disable check basically will set the on tap to null, and this is implemented if for user who haven't yet registered with the application, and you can see that it basically check user here. All right. Is it big enough? All right. So now you can see that the widget from the init state. The init state here basically check for the widget user ID and set is disabled to true if the user ID is equal 0. So we know that any user ID equals 0 is a guest account. So we don't want any guest account to be able to access that feature. So that's why you have this is disabled. So if disable is true, which is set the function or the method to null. But if this is disable is false, means that the update dialog will be implemented. All right, so this is basically new finding also for me. Not new finding because I use this a lot in a different scenario, but this is the first time that I use this on tap or on click or whatnot. So this is basically allow me to disable any operation, like in this case gesture detector, to implement update image dialog. All right. And for the update image dialog here, when user click, so you can just go through all the standard, all the implementation for uploading image to the server. And I'm not going to go through that because that basically implemented as the same with new product. But here, this is what I'm concerned of, which is the cache network image, because we know that the way that cache network image works is by caching your image into the application directory. Okay, before this, I tried to, there's a many investigation that I've done to remove, because when you change the image on the server, your application won't retrieve will not retrieve any new image from the server if there's no changes to the data, and in this case the value of this ID, and definitely will never change. All right, so there are two methods that I use here, but I'm not quite sure which one is the best. But here I'm using just a programming trick a little bit, which pass another argument to this URL by implementing what we call as a random value. So as a random value, as you can see, it will pass this V with a random value that I generated when the image successfully uploaded. But there's a problem with val because the image will keep on loading every time. But there's another approach that I use for this. So let me just go to the update image dialog. And here we'll check for that unregistered user or whatnot. So just to safeguard, we go to the gallery picker, the same with the rest. And then finally we crop the image. And once we crop the image, we finally upload profile image. And this is where all the upload begins. All right, so all the same, we pass user ID, we pass the image, base64 image, and then we wait for the user response or for the server response. And then once success, there's a new, I've tried two things here. Okay, one, just to make sure that the image will be refreshed, I've used val to change the value of the random value that we have up there in the URL for image. But there's a new function, there's a new library, as you can see here. This library, this is based on my research to clear your application cache and empty your application cache by using what we call as a cache manager. So to be able to use the cache manager, you need to install the cache manager. Where's the cache manager? Here, geolocator, shared URL launcher. Yeah, here. Flutter Cache Manager version 3.3.0. So you need to install this. However, all right, however, there's a problem with a Flutter Cache Manager. Reason is that one of the functions, one of the method of functions of a cache manager is config. So I use config in my application for server config here, but because of that, I have to change my class name from just config to server config. But if I'm doing this, I have to do a lot of changes to the rest of the config that I use. So everything that calls server config will have to change to server config, because config no longer available to me, and the cache manager use that config as part of their internal methods. So I need to change a lot in terms of the config use, but there's not much an issue for that. All right, so coming back to this, so when I give the instruction to clear the cache, and then also at the same time reset set the value by using randoms, a new random value, so that our image up here will just provide a simple trick to the image URL, so that the image URL here think that we requested new data. Okay, this is just another programming trick that I use or found through Stack Overflow, the way that they trick cache network image into loading new image. Okay, so by providing this additional parameter, even though this additional parameter will not be used to load image, and you can still load image properly, but this value here allow to trick this the cache network image into thinking that this is new image. Every time we try to load this, this is new image, and we change the value that we set up here. So by default, the value is 50. But then when I updated the image with new image, the value will change based randomly, and the image cache network image will think that there's new image, even though it's basically just the same image. So just a programming trick here. All right, so I implement both so that I can have a reference later on in the future. So that can be very, very good implementation in terms of tricking cache network image into loading new image every time. So that's why you have the ability to change image on the fly instead of having to reload the application and whatnot. So let's say, let me try. So there's the image of Minada here. So let me put this one. All right, so this is another image down there. So now you can see new image loaded, even if I move to a different location to bias page and then go back to profile page, it basically reload again that image. So since this is just one image, shouldn't be much a problem because it's just one image, unless you are dealing with a multitude number of images. So that can be quite problematic for the application. Yeah, here should be no problem. All right. Okay, so that basically for the image. All right, so once we have this, now we want to update our image, our profile information. So for every profile information here, like for example, update names, so we can change the name information. This is just a very typical, let's say just I want to change to Hannah's. Yes. So you can change, you can see that the names here change even if I move to a different location. Right, so you can see the names now, Ahmad Hennes. So that basically implemented through each of the buttons. We can have it, the buttons here. Implemented through list view, update name dialog. So there's an update name dialog. So this is just asking user, are you sure or not? And we call, you have this this input text here. So that input basically implemented through this text form field. And you assign a controller so that you can get the value. And then once you have the controller, so we send to another method, update names down here. And then this is where we update our names. Oops, sorry. Okay, so finally we update. There you go. Okay, just by using a typical update profile PHP. But the update profile PHP here is not that very typical with your normal PHP, which usually I use. Oh, sorry, not up. This is taking too much. It's supposed to be just this one. Okay. So for update name, this is the method that deals with update name. So pass to parameter, which is the new name, and also user ID, and pass to the update profile.php. But for the update profile.php here, I use a different way of dealing with that. So let me just show you how I deals with that. So this is basically from my server. So let me just show you the codes already implemented through my server. Here I know it's a little bit small. Let me just increase that. All right, so this is just a standard PHP code. But the way that I implement here is by checking the is set. So all the functions that we have here, for example, update name, update phone, update password. All right, so all these three basically implemented in one file. Okay, so usually before this, if I want to update names or update data, I just use one file for that particular operation. Let, for example, update name.php, update phone.php, update password.php. But for this example, I use a single file and basically implement all the functions required. And you can use basically isSet. Okay, you can use isSet to check for the available parameter and implement it there. All right, so for example, for image, if I want to upload image, so this is my isSet for image. Right, so these sections of codes basically check for image. If the image is available and get the user ID, decode the image, set the path, and then file put content, and then return send JSON response if the operation is success or not, because I already have the user ID for the image name. So that's why I don't have to worry about the image name. It will automatically replace later on when I uploaded the image. And check the file is written. If successfully written, respond back to the user and then send JSON response as usual. So this section here, handle image. For this section, basically handle a new phone. For example, like if I want to update my phone to a different phone, let's say 019555444, right? Something like that. So if I put yes here, so you can see that my phone number now changed. And this is basically the section that handle phone number. So which is quite simple. Get the phone number, get the user ID, create SQL, okay, because this is all update SQL. So I create another function and pass the SQL. So this function database update basically down here. This is the function. Okay, so what it does is just if connection query, just execute the pass SQL, passing SQL, and then return back the success operation or fail operation. That's it. Okay, nothing much here. For the password, also the same. But for the password, I need to check first if the password exists or not. So that's why for the password section here, I check for the isSet and old password, and this is basically the implementation of password update. But here I need to check if the password, if you look at here, match to the old password or not. If the password is not matched, then I don't allow for the update of the password. So old password, new password. So that is one. And maybe another function that required function, you forgot password or you forgot. But that one is on the main page. Later on, I'm going to talk about that also. Because we required what we call as a web hosting to be able to do that for mailing and whatnot. All right. Okay, so that for password. For new registration, also I added this dialog, just a dialog. And the registration page now you can see just by adding this simple image up here. And for login, also the same by adding this very simple image up here. All right, so nothing much, nothing fancy with the login and registration screen. But the rest basically just work. And there's a log out button down here. But for the log out button basically just to remove user credential, if you remember the credential function. So that basically implemented through logout dialog. So this logout dialog basically asks user, are you sure if you want to log out? And then if user sure they want to log out, so we just reset user preference and then recreate the user object. and then push back to the buyer screen, and then automatically reset user object. So that's basically how it works here. So if you look at this, at the moment now we have user information. Oh, I forgot to update about this up here. Later on, I'm going to do that. So log out, yes. And then now we can see this is now unregistered user. So if you go to the profile, they cannot update their phone name, password, no longer allow for them. And even log out because this is unregistered, even they cannot change the image. So that's basically the implementation here for the profile page. All right, so pretty basic. And definitely one many methods available if you want to implement profile page. Okay, there are also another buttons or more buttons definitely you can add here. For example, we have later on, we do have buy credit already here, or maybe for address. I don't have address here, even though I do have address through the database, but I don't have that here. So maybe we can add address. Or maybe if you want to have like information here, how many products available for this user or whatnot. So some sort like a simple dashboard. So also can be done here. So it's up to you how you want to design your UI. All right, so coming back to login user. So let me try to log in. If I already changed the password, gmail gmail.com abc123. I think 123 again, the same one, or just 123 login. Yeah, correct. Okay, so now registered user with a profile that we allow for user to update. So that's basically how it works. And later on, I'm going to show you how to publish this application now. And this application can be installed on any phone and they can just work as long as they are connected to the internet, right? Okay, so all right, so this is basically a very simple profile page and allow you to update user profile, user image, and also later on we're going to look into buy credit and allow user to buy credit, and also we're going to update a little bit in term when user post new item, because when user post new product here, what we want to do now is to deduct the credit. Okay, just deduct one credit, and user once the credit reach zero, user will have to buy new credit, which is to top up the credit here. So this is basically how our application make money in a way to support the development and also the future of the application itself. So we need to think about this also. All right, so I think that basically all for profile page. And after this, we're going to look into how to turn or no longer or publish your application. We talk about publish, not publish through Google Play Store, but publish your backend into web hosting, and then we're going to work from there, right? So that's all, and I ended this video.